Good evening to you and thank you for choosing NTV Uganda this Sunday, the 16th day of August 2026. I'm Mildred Pedun together with Maureen Nambalirwa on Sign Language. Here are the day's top stories.
NTV Weekend Edition. Brought to you by DFCU. Going further together.
Tonight, veteran playwright, actor, author and theatre director Alex Mukulu has been remembered as a visionary talent scout and mentor who discovered and groomed some of Uganda's leading artists, as his burial is set for Thursday. School heads in Mukono have protested a Ministry of Education and Sports list published in June, which named their schools among institutions operating without licenses. Also on NTV Weekend Edition, the Democratic Republic of Congo last week released 15 detainees to the AFC M23 movement under the Doha peace process. On Diplomatic Watch this week, we examine what the latest move means for the Great Lakes region. And in part 2 of this special report,
if you only get the injection of lenacapavir, but when you get it up, remember it is long acting.
we go beyond the rollout to unpack the science behind lenacapavir, how it works in the body, what makes it different from other prevention options, and what the evidence says about its safety and effectiveness.
You are watching NTV Weekend Edition. DFCU, going further together. You are watching NTV Weekend Edition.
Thank you for joining us once again. This is NTV Weekend Edition. We do start off with colleagues in arts and entertainment industry who have eulogized veteran playwright, actor, author and theatre director Alex Mukulu as a man who had an eye for talent and discovered and groomed several artists, including comedian Herbert Seguja, popularly known as Teacher Mpamire, whom he identified for his ability to imitate President Yoweri Museveni. To many in the industry, Mukulu was the best.
Alex Mukulu was a veteran playwright, actor, author and theatre director whose outspoken and straightforward character and unique storytelling style earned him a place on the high table of the arts and entertainment industry. For decades, Mukulu used theatre and literature to tell stories about Uganda's political, social and economic journey. Beginning in the 1970s, his works captured the realities of society, with some of his notable productions including Wounds of Africa, The Guest of Honor and 30 Years of Bananas, among others. His work also earned him a place at major national events, including the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGM, in 2007. But beyond his own work, Mukulu was also known for identifying and nurturing talent. One of the people whose career he helped shape is Herbert Seguja, commonly known as Teacher Mpamire. In 2004, while rehearsing for Mercy Akatambwa, the late Mukulu noticed Seguja's ability to imitate President Yoweri Museveni. At the time, there had been several people imitating former presidents, such as Apollo Milton Obote, but few had successfully taken on the Museveni character.
Alex was looking for a character of a president, but he first tested us on stage, and he was like, who can describe President Museveni in one word? So people started Owechisanja, Chiwarata, Kagutema, Owechisanja, Chiwarata, Kagutema, Chigalo. Me, I simply said, Omurwanezwe Dembe. Alex was like, he went on with his guitar. Then he came back to me and said, you man, you repeat what you have said. I said, Omurwanezwe Dembe. Alex said, you talk like President Museveni, but then Alex moved, Then after he came back and said, but you repeat what you have said. I said, Omurwanezwe Dembe. Alex said, you can sit there.
The late saw Seguja's potential and gave him an opportunity to develop the character that would later become one of his most recognizable performances.
I had that talent of imitating people, but Alex discovered me from zero to hero. So he got me from Omega Hearing Center, then I became who I am today. Alex handed me over to the right people, that is Fun Factory, and NTV showed people who I am.
The emotional teacher Mpamire, whose talent for imitating President Museveni was identified by the late Mukulu, paid a tribute to the man who gave him an opportunity to take the character to the stage in the very same talent he discovered him.
And I don't know, but you know, it's hard to it's hard to act President Museveni when you are paying tribute to a person you loved, because President has never cried. But Alex Mukuru, I want to thank you for creating a firm foundation for my talent.
Meanwhile, mourners continue to gather at the late's home in Mengo to pay their last respects. Those who worked with him describe him as a tough but disciplined director who mixed humor with uncomfortable truth.
And he has taught quite a number of people who have picked a lot from him. I have given an example of my friend here, Abe Mukibi, and the others, so many of them. So the talent he had, he has developed it and he has passed it on to other colleagues and the youngsters.
Very brilliant director, though very, very tough during his conduct, but he was a disciplined director, so we are going to miss him so much. But as you know, artists don't die, the body is gone, but the brain, we are going to read and learn more about him.
Alex Mukulu is expected to be laid to rest on Thursday unless there are changes to the arrangements.
We are at his home. That is where the vehicle is. Then tomorrow, the same thing will happen. We shall still be here at his home. Then on Tuesday, we are planning to take his body. Not actually planning, it is finalized. His body will be taken to the National Theatre from 2 p.m. up to 6 p.m. From there, the body will be taken back to the funeral home. Then on Wednesday, we are going to take him to church. From there, he will be brought to his home, where we shall spend the night with him. Then on Thursday, it will be for burial. But that problem is subject to change depending on the travel arrangements of his children who are abroad.
Nobat Atkunda, NTV Weekend Edition.
Now, school heads in Mukono have protested the Ministry of Education and Sports list published in June, which named their schools among institutions operating without licenses. The head teachers say the ministry's information was inaccurate and the publication was malicious. Mukono District Education Officer Rashid Sechitoleko also questioned the list, saying it was published without his consent and that some information may have been wrongly captured and needs to be corrected.
In June this year, the Ministry of Education and Sports, through the Directorate of Education Standards, released a list of about 387 private secondary schools across the country that were operating without licenses. The notice was published as an advertisement in the government newspaper, New Vision, on June 29. It stated that officials from the Directorate of Education Standards had inspected the schools and found that they were operating without licenses. According to the Education Act 2008, it is a serious offence in a school to continue teaching learners without a license, and if found operating without one, the consequence is closure. Upon seeing the list of these schools, we decided to go to Mukono district, where about 10 private secondary schools were named on the list as operating without licenses. Our first destination was St. Augustine's SS in Nachifuma, where we found that learners had already gone for their holiday break. At the school, we were welcomed by the lecturer, Dr. Martin Buye.
I'm Dr. Buye.
Dr. Buye told us that they had already heard about the issue from a parent, but he did not take it seriously because he doesn't recall the day ministry officials visited his school, nor did he receive any letter informing him that he did not have a license.
This school has all the basic requirements. It is a registered school by the Ministry of Education, by the government of Uganda. So, closure of what? Where was the data picked from? I think the ministry has the right to come back and check. For us, we have never received anything. We have been hearing of newspapers. We are poor, we cannot even buy newspapers every day. And maybe even if we buy them, we cannot read them every day. In case the minister made a blunder, it can come back to St. Augustine Senior Secondary School in Nachifuma to do the checking.
To support his statement, he showed us the school documents, including the registration certificate we requested, which clearly indicated that his school had no problem at all. Dr. Buye accused the Education Ministry of using unprofessional people to collect data from schools, which has caused the mess.
If a government issues an operational license, and again, the same people writing in the papers that the school is not registered, for us, we become questionable.
From there, we went to St. Anne Grace Secondary School in Nagalama, which was also on the list of those without license. Although we did not get a person responsible to speak to us, the officials we found that the school declined to appear on our camera, but showed us their documents, which were similar to those shown to us by the head of St. Augustine's SS. Given this, we decided to go to Mukono District Educational Officer to get clarity on the matter. He clarified that some of the schools on the list actually have licenses, while others are still in the process of renewing them. He also wondered how the list was compiled without his consent.
Probably there could be some mistakes here and there that these schools appeared on the list of the schools that closed due to failure to acquire a license. We shall look into it and verify if they are indeed not licensed.
However, Chikomeko said that some of the schools may have had licenses that expired and failed to renew them because they did not get the 5-year registration certificate, which was required for renewal. He said this may have caused them to appear on the list. Chikomeko said that Mukono district has 2,376 private schools from nursery to secondary school, and out of these, about 600 do not have licenses.
For a school has fulfilled at least 50%, we can initially give them a license to operate through means of education. You get a license to operate for 2 years. After the 2 years, or before the 2 years, the proprietor is required to prepare requests for license or registering the school. Now, in Mukono district, we have over 600 schools that are registered, and a very big number that is not registered.
General massive program of licensing and registration of schools is very important now, because it will call for more support region after region so that schools are inspected, massive inspection and licensing to avoid the schools being unlicensed. It is not necessary today, but government is making it difficult through the ministry to license a school. We need to support these schools to guide them where there are gaps. They work on them, we issue licenses, and then we see all schools coming on board. That's our prayer.
The chairperson of the National Private Education Institutions Association, Hassan Chirabia, said the declaration of these schools in a newspaper was uncalled for because it affects the reputation of the school.
So we call upon the Minister of Education to relax on some of the steps they take, like a publication of schools in the newspapers, and also supporting the districts and the Ministry Inspectorate Department to see that they are able to reach out to the schools by providing them with their own means to enable them to reach out to the schools and deal with these challenges.
Tomorrow, we shall bring you another part on some of the schools that were closed in Mukono district and why. Dorothy Najita, NTV Weekend Edition.
All right, now for years, the conflict in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has produced more military offensives than diplomatic breakthroughs. But a small development involving just 15 prisoners could offer a glimpse of what peace might look like. The Democratic Republic of Congo last week released 15 detainees to the AFC M23 movement under the Doha peace process. And in a significant detail for Uganda, the prisoners traveled through Ugandan territory before being handed over to M23. So, is this simply a humanitarian operation, or could it be the first real test of whether the Doha process can deliver peace? Daniel Kibet tells us more.
Prisoners, one convoy, and a journey that quietly placed Uganda inside one of the most delicate stages of the search for peace in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The detainees were released by authorities and transported from Beni in North Kivu through Uganda before being handed over to the AFC M23 movement in Rutshuru. The International Committee of the Red Cross facilitated the operation as a neutral intermediary. It is the first known prisoner transfer under the Doha mechanism between Kinshasa and AFC M23. On the surface, this may look like a humanitarian gesture, but diplomatically, it is much bigger. Prisoner releases are often among the first confidence-building measures in a peace process, a way for enemies to demonstrate that agreements signed on paper can actually produce action on the ground. And that is where the Doha process now faces its biggest question. Can trust be built between Kinshasa and a movement it still considers an armed rebellion? Yes! And then there is Uganda. The prisoners did not simply move from one Congolese location to another. Their journey passed through Uganda. That gives Kampala a role, even if a carefully calibrated one, in a process whose ultimate destination is peace in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The International Committee for the Red Cross says the transfer was conducted under the Doha mechanism and involved the movement of the 15 people from Beni through Uganda before their handover to AFC M23. Uganda's significance here is not accidental at all. Kampala has for long had deep security interests in Eastern DRC. In fact, Ugandan troops are currently operating in Eastern DRC alongside the DRC forces against the Allied Democratic Forces, that is the ADF, under Operation Shujaa. And Uganda has also maintained diplomatic engagement with the Congolese government and other regional actors. That history gives Kampala something that many outsiders do not have: geographical proximity, security experience, and established relationships on both sides of the border. But it also creates a diplomatic balancing act. Because Uganda's role in Eastern DRC has always attracted scrutiny, Kampala must pursue its own security interests while avoiding the perception that it is taking sides in a conflict involving Kinshasa, M23, and Rwanda. That makes this latest development particularly interesting. Uganda is not the mediator of the Doha process. Qatar is. The International Committee of the Red Cross is facilitating humanitarian transfers, but Uganda provided the geographical corridor through which this particular confidence-building measure was completed. And that raises an important diplomatic question. Could Uganda become more useful as a bridge between the parties without becoming a party to the dispute? The answer is far from certain, because even this prisoner release has exposed the fragility of the process. AFC M23 has questioned the composition of the 15-person group, saying only 9 were on its submitted list of detainees. The movement says one of those released was a Ugandan national with no links to AFC M23, while 5 others were not on its list. That may sound like a technical disagreement. It is not. In a fragile peace process, technical disagreements can quickly become political obstacles. If the parties cannot agree on who should be released, how can they agree on the much harder questions? Questions like, who controls the territories? What happens to the armed groups? And what even happens to the displaced populations? And ultimately, who guarantees that guns will go silent? And there's another reason this matters. Eastern DRC conflict is no longer simply a Congolese problem. It is a Great Lakes problem. Rwanda remains central to the security equation. Burundi has security concerns of its own. Uganda has troops and strategic interests in Eastern DRC, and international actors from Qatar to Washington are now deeply invested in finding a settlement. The danger is that Eastern DRC becomes a diplomatic maze, with too many mediators, too many interests, and too little trust. Yes! So, what does the journey of 15 prisoners really tell us? Perhaps not that peace has arrived in Eastern DRC, but it tells us something important. The parties have finally demonstrated that an agreement can translate into movement on the ground. For Uganda, the significance is even more strategic. Kampala now finds itself at a crossroads, militarily engaged in the fight against the ADF, diplomatically connected to Kinshasa, and geographically positioned along one of the routes linking the Congolese government and M23. The challenge will arguably be turning that strategic position into diplomatic influence without being pulled deeper into the conflict, because in the Great Lakes region, geography is never just geography. Sometimes the path to peace runs through your backyard. I'm Daniel Kibet.
That's it for this week's Diplomatic Watch. We now stop for a break, but NTV Weekend Edition returns with more stories, and here is still to come. Still to come.
We have reduced from 12 cents to now 5.7 cents and moving towards the 5 cents.
Government says it is moving to cut the cost of doing business as part of efforts to boost entrepreneurship and improve the survival of businesses. And in sport,
we put in our efforts, balance all departments.
We have to work very hard to maintain and also to defend zonal marking.
Uganda Christian University Netball Club is targeting a top 4 finish in the National Top Flight League to secure a spot in the East African Club Championships. NTV Weekend Edition returns shortly.
Make a party. You take time to prepare, to bring all the pieces together, to craft it right. The result, great refreshment. And that makes it time well spent. Club, brewed longer for longer refreshment.
Hello, Mr. Mukasa.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, sir. Are you the broker?
The original one.
I was told you have very good rentals.
That is right. How many bedrooms do you want?
I want 3 bedrooms.
Okay, did I tell you of the price?
Yes, of course. 500,000.
No. This side, the salary went a bit high.
Why?
Because the paint we use is of good quality. So the place gained the value.
Which paint?
Global paint.
How?
For the ceiling, for us we use Global Mat. And for the inside walls, we use Global Silk Vinyl.
Okay, tell me about the outside walls.
Outside we use Global Weather Coat Emulsion so that the walls don't peel.
I'm really impressed. The precision you put while painting, I'm willing to pay any amount.
That is true, because here for us quality is paramount and the place becomes humidity.
Global Paint, a reliable product.
Can I have a light, please? What is this?
Castle Light, the best testing light.
Try it.
Try it, try it, try it.
Guys, look at this post.
Nothing hits like extra cold. Castle Light. Try it. You are watching NTV Weekend Edition.
Welcome back. Continuing with NTV Weekend Edition, the Executive Director of the Uganda National Examinations Board, UNEB, Dan Nokorach Odong, this week launched a book titled From My Humble Beginnings, which highlights the ups and downs of his life from childhood to his current position. NTV's Becca Senyonga Mulinde sat down with Odong to hear his part of the journey, including his career at UNEB, where he has worked since joining the institution in 1990.
Born in 1951 in Olula Village, Paraka Parish in present-day Omoro District, Dan Nokorach Odong began his education at a local school in his home area. At the time, the area was part of Gulo District and the wider Choli region. After completing his primary examinations, Odong joined St. Joseph's College, Laibi, for his ordinary level education. It was at Laibi that he developed some of the interests that would remain memorable throughout his school years, particularly debating and boxing. From Laibi, Odong moved to Teso College, Aloit, in Soroti for his advanced level education, where he studied physics, chemistry, biology, and subsidiary math. He then proceeded to Makerere University, where he pursued a bachelor's degree in agriculture alongside a concurrent diploma in education. For Odong, this was more than an academic journey that marked the beginning of a career shaped by his passion for teaching and lecturing. After graduating, Odong embarked on a career in education. He began in the classroom and gradually rose through the ranks to become a head teacher. He started at Teso College, Aloit, in Soroti before moving to Kitugum High School. He later joined St. Thomas More Secondary School, Minakulu, in Omoro District. But his career was soon interrupted by the political turmoil of the time. In 1990, he applied to join the Uganda National Examinations Board as a staff member and was successful. At UNEB, Odong served in different capacities, steadily rising through the ranks. In 2016, following an interview process, Odong was appointed Executive Secretary of UNEB, succeeding the late Matthew Bukenya.
By God's grace, I beat the competition and was appointed. And I took office on the 1st of April, 2016.
The institution has undergone a lot of changes.
Yes.
One of them being the change from the title you're holding now, from the title of the Executive Secretary to the title of the Executive Director.
Yes.
Why that change?
Well, I think the premise, I don't know, I think they thought director is a little more encompassing.
Speaking about other changes within UNEB, can you highlight some that have impacted the institution?
We changed the titles from assistant secretaries. We reorganized the departments into directorates, reduced the span of control of the CEO, merged some departments that had similar functions. As when I was still a deputy, we had some proposals to construct something like a store block for the board. We had been renting all over the place. Managed to bring the committee to visit UNEB physically to appreciate the state in which we were. And I showed them here where we are now sitting. This used to be where we used to throw rubbish and it was swampy. Said, there is this piece of land here and we can put this structure here.
What has been your most difficult time at UNEB?
In 2017, we had a serious challenge with the O level. In one of the stations, my security eventually found the source to be in one of the stations in Iganga. But the head teacher would come, they would open and pick the paper for tomorrow, cut that envelope, pull out one question paper, make a copy of it, and put it back. Later on, he started sharing
with other schools,
with a friend of his who was running a private school nearby. That 1 week was the most challenging week in the whole of my life.
So have you registered any exam malpractice cases with the ordinary level exams, having initiated or brought in a new curriculum of education?
It's a bit more difficult because these are scenario-based questions that are not direct. It requires that the candidate reads and understands this scenario and then uses the knowledge, skills, and whatever he has in order to work his way through this scenario. Where we have a challenge, even with the content-based, is the practical, science practicals and the ICT. So a lot of our schools don't have very well-developed laboratories. The teachers don't do enough with the learners as far as the practicals are concerned.
NTV as an entity is mainly made up of, I wouldn't say very old teachers, for lack of a better word, but in their sense, they would believe that UNEB is made up of very old teachers that maybe at some point would not match with the youths in terms of exam setting, given that we are now in a competence-based curriculum. Did it affect you in any way, or is it affecting operations?
It doesn't affect my operations because I have a pool of about 30 people whom we call subject officers. If they are right now in the field, if you met them, it's a young men, very, very vibrant young men and women.
Have you thought of maybe changing the style of exam setting for the primary level or even the curriculum itself?
Yes, I think NCDC, the National Curriculum Development Center, will answer that. Work has already started on reforming the primary curriculum as well.
What is your source of inspiration to write this book?
A book written by, it's called Destined, written by Irene Kauma, an Undersecretary in the Ministry of Education, and Senior Private Secretary, the First Lady. I attended that launch, and how she poured herself out in that book. She told her story. I became so inspired.
It has been great having you, sir, on NTV. Thank you so much for the time dedicated to us. My name is Becca Senyonga Muninde for NTV in Kampala.
We shift focus to health. Now, sickle cell disease remains one of Uganda's major but often overlooked public health challenges. Civil society organizations and legislators are now pushing for dedicated government funding for screening, treatment and awareness as thousands of children are born with the condition every year. They want services including access to hydroxyurea taken closer to communities. Walter Mwesije brings us more in Health Focus.
For families living with sickle cell disease, managing the condition can mean years of hospital visits, medication and caregiving. But advocates say many patients still face another challenge, limited access to specialized care.
Uganda registers between 20 to 30,000 children born with sickle cell disease, and of which 80% of these children die before the age of 5 years. One of our priority areas is to see government earmarking, funding for sickle cell in areas of diagnostics and care for sickle cell disease.
Government says there has been progress. Uganda is now manufacturing sickle cell testing kits locally, while a local production line for hydroxyurea has also been launched. The Ministry of Health says this could improve availability of the drug and allow treatment to reach lower-level health facilities.
We had already in the past tried to push hydroxyurea to the level of regional referral hospitals, general hospitals, up to Health Center 4. But now we can do better, and as a ministry, we are planning on now taking it further down to the Health Center 3s, because Health Center 3s really speak to the community.
Government says Uganda currently has only 2 facilities with blood exchange transfusion machines.
And of course, the cost for the common person is still a bit high. So I'm very happy that we had members of parliament here, the Minister of State for Youth and Children's Affairs, because as we go into the budgeting cycle, these are some of the issues we need to look at, we need to interrogate.
Advocates say treatment alone will not be enough. They want greater investment in public awareness and screening, particularly in communities where sickle cell disease is more prevalent. They also want screening and counseling to become part of conversations around relationships and marriage.
We also want to encourage local leaders, as they marry off their children, as they conduct marriages within their societies, we need to have awareness creation about sickle cell and marriage.
For families already living with the disease, the burden goes beyond the hospital. Advocates say repeated care demands can affect caregivers' employment, marriages, and household incomes.
So many mothers have lost their jobs. So many mothers have lost their marriages, and children are suffering.
The push is now for Parliament to translate these concerns into funding priorities.
We want to see that we leverage on domestic funding more than, donor-funded programs so that we can sustain this.
And while Uganda has made advances in testing, treatment, and even specialized interventions, advocates say the real measure of progress will be whether these services can reach patients before the disease claims another life. Walter Mwesije, NTV.
Still in health, as Uganda intensifies the rollout of lenacapavir, a long-acting HIV prevention injection given once every 6 months, health authorities say the move is aimed at reducing new HIV infections, especially among high-risk populations. In part 2 of this special report, we go beyond the rollout to unpack the science behind lenacapavir, how it works in the body, what makes it different from other prevention options, and what the evidence says about its safety and effectiveness. We also look at access, scale-up challenges, and what it will take for wider availability, and hear from the Uganda AIDS Commission and UNAIDS on how this innovation fits into national and global efforts to end HIV as a public health threat by 2030. Betty Modondo reports.
In part 2 of this special report, we go beyond the rollout to unpack the science behind lenacapavir, how it works in the body, what makes it different from other prevention tools, and what the evidence says about its safety and effectiveness. Uganda has made significant progress in reducing new HIV infections from 96,000 in 2010 to about 37,000 by the end of 2025 and is expanding access to treatment to over 1.4 million people. However, HIV remains a significant public health challenge across the country, with new infections continuing to occur alongside persistent social, economic and structural barriers to prevention. Dr. Vincent Bagambe, the Director of Planning and Strategic Information at the Uganda AIDS Commission, reiterates Uganda's notable progress in reducing new infections and AIDS-related deaths over the years.
We have been able to put 1.3 million people. Of the 1.5 million people, 1,300,000 on treatment. And because of putting all those people on treatment and sustaining them on treatment, we are beginning to see a reduction in new HIV infections.
Dr. Bagambe notes that while women continue to bear a higher burden of infection, men often present later in care, which contributes to higher mortality among males.
Of the 1.5 million people living with HIV, 930,000 are women, while about 570,000 are male. Also, if you look at the new HIV infections, 32,000 out of the 37,000 are adults, but importantly, 21,000 are women.
He adds that despite these gains, challenges remain.
We see new HIV infections occurring more in urban areas compared to rural communities, and therefore the urban centers or regions which have high urban activity also tend to double as regions with high new HIV infections.
Health experts say that despite existing prevention tools, Uganda still needs more long-acting and user-friendly options to further reduce new infections. However, as one of the tools to curb down on new infections to people who are at risk of HIV, lenacapavir, a groundbreaking twice-yearly injectable pre-exposure prophylaxis PrEP for HIV prevention, was officially launched in Uganda on 17th April 2026. Developed by Gilead Sciences, the long-acting drug has demonstrated up to 99% effectiveness and provides continuous HIV protection with just one injection administered every 6 months. Researchers involved in the development and testing of lenacapavir say evidence from clinical studies has demonstrated high levels of protection against HIV transmission.
Lenacapavir was tried and tested and proven that it can suppress HIV for people who are failed on all other regimens. They are called heavily treatment-experienced individuals. And in May 2022, this drug was approved for that indication.
Dr. Flavia Matovu-Chiwewa of the Makerere University Johns Hopkins University Muju Research Collaboration said evidence from clinical studies has demonstrated high levels of protection against HIV transmission, as results from the Purpose 1 study showed that lenacapavir provided almost complete protection against HIV infection among participants. The study involved about 5,000 adolescent girls and young women, while the Purpose 2 study focused more on key high-risk groups. She further explains who is eligible to receive lenacapavir and how it is administered.
When we're giving lenacapavir, even in the studies, we give loading dose. The loading dose, you take 2 tablets on the day you receive the injection, and then you take 2 tablets the following day. And then by the end of the following day, those are 48 hours, you have enough drug in your body to protect you. If you only get the injection of lenacapavir, it can even take a month. Remember, it is long-acting. So it's still that the drug levels go up slowly, the way they will go down slowly in your body.
Dr. Flavia adds that lenacapavir, a 6-month HIV prevention injection, marks a shift from daily pills to longer-acting options designed to make prevention easier, more discreet, and more effective for people at risk.
We've had condoms for so many years, decades, but why are we still seeing new infections? It's because people are not able to consistently use condoms. And then we've had oral PrEP since 2017. Ministry of Health introduced oral PrEP in different clinics, but again, we're still seeing so many infections. Currently, we have about 100 infections occurring in Uganda per day. From the day we wake up to the time, the moment we wake up to the time we shall go to sleep, we'll have 100 people seroconverting in Uganda. It's wonderful that we can have an intervention from a pill every day to just injection, 2 injections in a year.
During the initial phase of rollout, health authorities have prioritized pregnant and breastfeeding women due to their increased vulnerability to HIV infections. As Dr. Flavia explains, researchers are continuing to monitor the drug's long-term safety and effectiveness through ongoing studies.
Currently, because after the results came out and Len was 100% protective, we moved everyone from, even those who were in the groups for tablets, because we had the groups for tablets and for the injection. We rolled over everyone to the injection, what we call the open label extension phase. So we are still following up these women and young girls in Purpose 1 and the men in Purpose 2.
While supply is limited, Dr. Flavia says there is optimism that production and access will increase as more partnerships with generic manufacturers are established. In Uganda, the Ministry of Health officially designated specific priority populations for the lenacapavir rollout program across accredited health facilities. Because current supplies are limited, doses are strictly prioritized for individuals at the highest risk of exposure. The primary targeted groups under the Uganda National Framework include adolescent girls and young women, people in serodiscordant relationships, pregnant and breastfeeding mothers, commercial sex workers, classified as key groups with persistent high-frequency occupation exposure, high mobile populations that include long-distance truck drivers and transport workers who spend prolonged periods away from home, border riders included, and the mobile urban demographic categories experiencing elevated community transmission rates. Military and security personnel among the high interest groups as well. Jacqueline Makoha, the UNAIDS country director for Uganda, says ending AIDS will require both medical advances and social change, emphasizing that while new prevention tools are promising, stigma and discrimination remain major barriers to HIV response efforts. She urges countries to scale up access to new prevention technologies, including lenacapavir, to reduce new infections.
Because of stigma and discrimination, either self-stigma or fear of being stigmatized at health facilities, a lot of people fall out of treatment. And unfortunately, these are the people that we are missing out. And so the challenge is and the HIV program has been doing an excellent job of identifying what we call people who are not adhering to treatment. Yeah, identifying them, following them up through the community health workers, identifying where they are, supporting them to keep on treatment. So, lenacapavir, yes, will not have an immediate impact on that, but by preventing new HIV infections, we ensure that we don't have the pool of people living with HIV does not continue growing.
Despite optimism surrounding the new prevention tool, health experts have cautioned that lenacapavir only protects against HIV and does not prevent sexually transmitted infections, STIs, hepatitis B, or unintended pregnancies. Therefore, communities have been urged to continue using comprehensive HIV prevention measures.
I would like to remind the public that we still have other prevention technologies. The condom remains very effective. It's easily accessible in Uganda through the health facilities, through community distribution points. We also have them in the pharmacies, in private shops. So condoms remain widely available and they are effective. We also have oral PrEP, which is highly effective. We have the ring for women, which also is highly effective. And now we have lenacapavir. So we have a lot of choices.
Lenacapavir has already been introduced in several African countries as part of early rollout programs supported by global health partners. The countries include Eswatini, Kenya, Lesotho, Nigeria, Uganda, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. As Uganda continues to push towards its goal of ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030, a total of 300 health facilities are expected to provide lenacapavir for PrEP by December 2026. Experts believe the combination of new science, prevention strategies, and global partnerships is a potential game changer in HIV prevention because it removes the burden of daily adherence and offers sustained prevention for months. Betty Mudondo, NTV.
Entrance there and their exit there. This is it.
So where is the building?
Fast, stress-free construction. Get your factory-made buildings in 12 weeks with SafBuild. Order yours now. SafBuild, a quality building solution from Uganda Bati.
Take a look around, and you'll see everything can be reimagined. Everything rough can be smooth. Everything old can be fresh. Everything can be made vibrant and full of attitude. The world is what you make it, so why not make it yours? Guinness Smooth. Make it yours.
You are watching NTV Weekend Edition.
On to sport, we do start off with the Uganda Christian University Netball Club that is targeting a top 4 finish in the National Top Flight League to secure a spot in the East African Club Championships. After missing out last year due to unforeseen circumstances, they have now solidified their hold on second place on the league table.
Uganda Christian University Netball Club thrashed UPDF 47-33 in one of the National Top Flight League matches played at Nachivubo. The victory helped UCU maintain their grip on second place in the league with 14 points after 8 matches. Uganda Christian University captain Linda Mozego revealed they will not back down as their goal is to finish the season among the top 4 teams in the league.
This goal or our intention in this game this season, it's purposely to keep our pace up there in the top 4 teams. We'd like to put in our efforts, balance all departments, because in most cases, if one department is not functioning, it affects the entire team and it affects the final score.
In our final third, the transition, and also actually our defense, we have to work very hard to maintain and also to defend zonal marking and also one-on-one defense. So we shall be working on our defense and also our offense.
In another development, Machinde Wayonje defeated Police 42-38 in a highly contested, thrilling match.
We've not done badly. We've tried to put up a great show, because we've been really preparing for this team. So I'll give credit to my players. Yes, they have done good.
Last season, we finished in the 5th position and we never qualified for East Africa. And now our target is to go back in those first 4 positions to represent the country at the East Africa level.
Meanwhile, defending champions KCCA were scheduled to play against Uganda Prisons, but the match was postponed due to unforeseen circumstances. National Insurance Corporation NIC had a double-header and won both fixtures. They defeated Budo SS 39-32 and went on to beat UGX Luwero 55-37. Budo SS later bounced back in their second match of the day, defeating Dynamite Academy 42-27. Regina Naluja, NTV Sport.
Now, for many students, school sport is simply about competition and having fun. But for Patience Kaluba, it has become a journey of discovery, helping her find her talent, build confidence, and dream beyond the classroom.
When St. Joseph's School finished 4th in beach volleyball at the National Secondary School Games in Gulu, there was some grief. But for Patience Kaluba, there was also a personal milestone. The Senior 5 student walked away with the Most Valuable Player award, recognition of a player whose speed and ability to cover the sand had made her one of the standout performers of the competition.
The refs kept telling that I'm fast, like I can easily move on the sand. And that's what they like, that I die for balls. When it's going out and I can reach it, I reach out for it. I don't let it fall. As long as I have the potential to reach it, I try my best to reach the ball that is going out and step it back on court, and then move very fast to the sand. That's what they kept telling me before they awarded it.
For Kaluba, the ability to move quickly across the sand is not accidental. Her coaches have long trusted her speed, often calling on her to participate in different school sporting activities. But volleyball is the sport that eventually captured her attention. She first discovered it in primary 7 when the game was introduced at her school. Her introduction came during the COVID-19 period, so opportunities to train and compete were limited. But after joining secondary school, Kaluba continued with the sport and began developing her game.
Putting that, you also can try that sport because you have the opportunity, you try. But then we found out it can really be done. So when I came here, our manager chose beach volleyball over the normal one because beach volleyball has more opportunities. So he told us, guys, I'm registering for beach volleyball at national level.
She soon developed a reputation for chasing down difficult balls, even those that appeared to be heading out.
They can easily move on the sand compared to other people. And then do the normal things the way you do in the normal volleyball. But moving is the most wanted thing in beach volleyball. If you can't move, then you've lost the game.
But being the standout player does not make beach volleyball easy. Despite those challenges, St. Joseph's reached the national semi-finals and eventually finished 4th.
It was hectic. Generally, for me, I felt it was heavy because my partners were not so supportive. They were slow compared to me. So when I struggled to put it up, it becomes hard for them to finish and we end up like losing the point. That's what made it really hard.
Kaluba Patience is such a unique girl that you have just seen her in volleyball, but from what you've seen, she has won medals in very many games. She's talented in very many aspects.
While her sporting profile continues to grow, the Senior 5 student remains committed to her education.
In St. Joseph's, time for class is time for class. You have to be in class. There is no exception for sports girls. You be in the field as others are studying, so there. So when it's time for class, we be in class. Then during the free time, evening time at 5, you go anywhere, and that's the only time we have for training.
For Kaluba, however, the MVP award is not the destination. With 1.5 years of secondary school ahead of her, she already has plans to continue playing beyond St. Joseph's at club and university level, and hopefully the biggest stages available to her. St. Joseph's may have finished 4th in Gulu, but Patience Kaluba left the national games with the individual prize every player wants.
Now in swimming, the hosts Gators Swimming Club garnered 1,906 points to crown themselves champions of the Gators Invitational Championship, which concluded this evening at Kampala Parent School. They were followed in second place by Dolphins Swim Club with 1,368 points.
This event comes after nationals, which is very important because not everyone qualifies for nationals these days. It's top, I think top 24 in your age group. So some of these kids may not get the opportunity to race in nationals, but they still will be able to get the opportunity to race here in events that they would have loved to do in nationals, better their times, and try out events that maybe they would have loved to try.
Now, the Fufa Women's Super League champions, Kawempe Muslim Ladies FC, have unveiled their new jersey ahead of the 2026-2027 season. The Valley Warriors will debut the new kit next week as they represent Uganda at the CAF Women's Championship League Sekafa Zonal Qualifiers in Rwanda.
As we are setting off to Kigali for the Sekafa Zonal Qualifiers, we are really prepared for the tournament, and inshallah we shall come back home as champions.
Even when it was hard, you have shown every young girl on this community that talent nurtured with hard work can take you all the way on the top. And here I mean every single word I'm saying, because my colleagues know that I used to be a professional football player, and I know what it takes for you to achieve and win such title. And now you carry that same belief forward to Kigali, to the CAF Games, where you will present not just Kawempe, but all of Uganda. That's not a small thing. When you step onto that field, an entire nation will be watching, and the entire nation will be proud. So today we say two things: congratulations and safe travel.
In That brings us to the end of NTV Weekend Edition. Thank you for watching. I'm Mildred Bedun together with Maureen Nambalira on Sign Language. Have yourself a fantastic night and a great week ahead.
Nutrition, wellness, mental health, diseases, and all other mysterious biological phenomena. We are here to assist you navigate it all. This is the NTV Medical Matters, your safe space for everything health. Join us as we host experts delving into the meanings, manifestations, as well as solutions to all of your health concerns. You know what they say, health is not that valued until sickness arrives.
Medical Matters, every Monday at 10 a.m. only on NTV Uganda.
Visionaries of NTV Uganda. When NTV Uganda was starting operations in Uganda, I was one of the first people to work with NTV. I was on the Uganda news desk, NTV Akawungezi, as Omusambaganyi Abubeka Mwongi. We learned so much from NTV, and whatever we learned is what we are using at the moment for so many years to live a better life as journalists. And for 20 years now, NTV has made 20 years. I'm happy and proud to have been a part of it. And above all, it's been able to continue serving Uganda and Ugandans, employing people, paying taxes, educating, entertaining, and informing Ugandans and the world at large. So many things have changed. So many young faces on NTV right now. And yeah, I'm happy for NTV, and I wish you so many more years to come. So many years of success ahead. Thank you so much.
This is NTV. This program is